Good morning, everybody. My name is Rob Triggs from CRM Dynamics. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar this morning. Thank you for joining us. We're going to wait and allow people to just straggle in. I can see there's quite a few people on the line this morning. We're expecting quite a few people. And we originally were going to have one of our CRM trainers do the session this morning, Angelina, and Angelina became ill this morning. So we've got, you're fortunate, you get Bill Gardner today. So welcome, Bill, to the call.
Well, thank you.
So we're going to get started in a minute, and today we're going to cover sort of what we're calling the back to basics. And so we're going to cover things like navigating through CRM 2015 and a couple of key things. So I think most of you who are on the phone today, there's about a 50-50% split. Half already have Dynamics and you're existing customers of ours, and you are looking to learn more about the platform. So I think you're going to be very happy with the session today. And we also have about half of you are looking at Dynamics as a potential solution for your company. And for those of you who are in that camp, I'm hoping what you'll see today are things that you can see your company would benefit from. We do these sessions every month, so we do them every third Thursday of the month. And each month we do a different topic. Today we decided to go back to basics and start with basic functionality of CRM. And for those of you who have more detailed questions, maybe you've joined today because you want to learn how to do something in CRM, if you could just please put those questions through the question tool that you'll find in your GoToWebinar little screen there. When you put those through, what I'll do is while Bill's presenting, I'll be able to answer some of those questions in real time, either privately back to you or open to the group. And for those questions that I think are worthwhile that we can, put out to the entire group, we'll stop at key points in time and ask Bill to answer those questions live. For those of you, if we do get inundated with questions, which does happen sometimes, what we'll do is we'll stop the webinar at the appropriate time that we've scheduled, and we'll make sure that we get back to each and every one of you via email or a direct telephone call to answer your questions. Okay, so I think we've got pretty much everyone we were looking for to attend today. There's still a few more that aren't here, but that happens sometimes. So what I'll do is I'll pass it over to Bill and ask Bill to take us through back to basics. Thanks, Bill.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Rob. So you should be seeing my screen. Just hold on a second here. There we go. So I'm here substituting for Angelina today. I've taken her agenda, which is here, and then I added a couple of things in the bottom that we've been doing quite a bit of lately, just to share for those of you that haven't seen editable grids in some of the service area. But for some of the basic areas, we'll cover system personalization and user settings, Outlook offline, which is part of that. Search and advanced find, and the process bar in CRM, and a couple of the changes with 2015. Okay, so now I'll switch into CRM. Okay, so what I'll do here is start from Outlook, and I won't. This won't be a real demo. It will be more showing some functionality in the system. So in a demo, I'd usually start with just right-clicking and showing tracking emails and that type of thing. But here, because a lot of you already have it, what I'll do is show the personalization area. So in CRM, there's a couple of the things that you get in Outlook. One of them is a new Outlook item in here, and that will let you do things like force an immediate synchronization. So if there's a task that just got created in CRM, it will go immediately into your Outlook if you click that. Otherwise, it happens anywhere between instantly and about 15 minutes. And then you can do some other things like create phone calls and emails and that type of thing right from Outlook from here. The other thing that you get is in the file area, there's a new CRM, both CRM recent, so that will show you all of the different records that you've been in recently. And you also get the CRM area where there's things like personal options that we'll look at in a second, some synchronization settings, controls over going offline, and so forth. In the options, okay, this looks exactly, and in fact it is, like the options that you get out of the web browser. So in here you can decide on how you'd like to see the forms for new activities. So whether you want to use the Outlook forms or the CRM forms from within Outlook. You can decide on how many records you'd like to see per page in a view. So the default is 50, but you can go right up to 250 on a page if you'd like. You can decide on whether you want advanced find to be shown in a simple or detailed mode. So detailed allows you to go right into a query and start changing it instead of clicking a little button to say detailed mode. Okay, and then there's some other settings like contrast settings and even region settings. Okay, there's also controls in here for synchronization, so you can decide on what data you'd like to bring out of CRM into Outlook. Different formats, you can decide on, if you don't like the formats that come out of the box, like the long date format, you can change that. Okay, and this is all on a personal level. It's not global, so you're not changing everybody in the companies. You can configure email templates. You can decide on the email rules. So this is where you can decide on whether you want CRM to be able to send through Outlook or not. And even things like if you get an email from somebody and you track it, whether or not it will create the contacts automatically for you in the system. Some address book rules, local data rules, privacy, and then languages. Okay, and this is how CRM knows what language you have. So if the French language pack, for example, was loaded, it's not here. But if it was and I selected French, then the screens would revert to French. We've had companies have everything from Mandarin to German, Spanish, French, English. So a company can have different users from different regions in the world. All be using it in their own language, and it's controlled from here. Okay, so that's the personal option area. The other area in CRM in the same zone is the synchronization settings. So you can decide on what data you'd like to bring offline, okay, or you'd like to synchronize. This isn't used by everybody. Typically it would be senior management or reps that go to remote regions. Let's say a rep goes into China or areas that really don't have great internet access. And you can decide on what data you want to take out of what entity. So something that's fairly common is, my contacts, my accounts, maybe my opportunities as a sales rep, my service issues as a service person. And the idea is that if you don't have internet access, you can still get your job done. When it gets internet connectivity again, it will synchronize for you. Okay, and that's all controlled through here. And you can decide on what the rules are one by one and then what the filters are. Okay? And here's the filters for offline. Okay, so it actually, every entity you have access to, you have the ability to go in and configure. So I've got 121 in here because I'm the admin. Okay, so typically if a user only has access to 10 things, then in the filters they'd only see the 10 things they have access to. Okay, so that's system personalization and user settings and Outlook offline. Now, for search and advanced find, let's take a look at that because that can actually get fun. And I'm going to switch into just the web browser here. Okay, and let's look at opportunities. So in opportunities, if you've been viewing a record, so let's say 20 minutes ago you were looking at a company and you'd like to bring up the same company, you can click on opportunities and then find it and bring it up. The other thing that you can do is just click the little arrow here, and all of the opportunities that you've been looking at most recently will show up, and you can just click it and go into it. Okay, and that works for all the entities. All right, so here's a list of all the open opportunities. So in here you can search for a record if you want. You can also find it in the view down here. You can use the letters across the bottom to quickly go to let's say, companies that start with F, or opportunities that start with F, and then they come up. Okay, but what a lot of people don't know, when you search with the filtered view here, I can search for, let's say, everything by rating, or sort by everything by rating, and now I've got all my warm. But if I click Shift, okay, and then hit, let's say, probability here, it will sort it by rating and then opportunity. So I'll get all of the hot and then warm, and it will sort it by probability. If I'd like to have the highest probability first, just hit Shift, click that again, and now I'm sorting by rating and then probability. If maybe I'd like to shift or filter as well by, let's say, pipeline phase, I click Shift again, and now I'm looking at a three-way sort here. Okay, so rating, then probability, then pipeline phase. And that can be useful if you'd like to quickly sort the information and then find the records that you want. You still have access to filtering, so if you'd rather create a filter where I only want to see the probabilities that are, let's say, at above 80%. Let's say above 70%. I'll get more data. Okay, so here's all the opportunities above 50, and then if I want, I can go in and sort from there. All right, and for those of you that haven't seen it, you can use charts against this as well. So I can look at this data in a chart. So let's say a sales pipeline, and then drill down with my chart and see what I want to get at. All right, and Rob, if anybody has questions, Rob is checking the questions that are typed in, and he can either prompt me. Rob, any questions? Or
we do, yeah. We've had a few. I've answered them privately back to the person that's answered them, but I wouldn't mind you answering this one live, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So this question is coming from someone who doesn't have Dynamics yet, that's interested in Dynamics. And they're asking, can you sync Office 365 Calendar into CRM Dynamics?
Can you? So your Outlook calendar?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll do this one now, Rob. But at the end, questions like that we can handle because I have to go into a different area.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll do that one at the end. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
I have to bring Outlook back up again. So.
No problem.
Okay. So definitely we'll do that though. All right. So I'm in the open opportunities now, and that essentially gave a bit of an overview of filtering and searching and sorting and the chart, and we have a full demo that we do, and we show that in greater detail. But I'll show you one last thing here, and that's advanced find. So this particular view, when I click, actually they changed it with 2015. With 2015, they put it on the bar here. So if I want to look at the query that created these open opportunities, I can just click the little filter button on the top. Okay, and in here I can search. In this case, it was status equals open, so all open opportunities. But I could look for a particular sales rep or region or anything within the opportunity, or with any entity down here. When you keep scrolling down, you see related. So I could look for anything related. So I could look for all opportunities that are open where the account is in a certain industry, or the account is a certain type, like all A clients or B clients, or opportunities where there hasn't been any really account management activity on those accounts in the last 30 days. Okay, so that's advanced find. You can save it as any name that you want, and then when you go back into your view, anything that's personal, in this case I did open opportunities with some Canadian geography records from the account, then they appear down below in my views. Okay, so that's a little bit of an advanced find. When I go into an opportunity, the other thing on the agenda here was the pipeline phases. So here's the different phases in the pipeline. Okay, and under each phase, for those of you that have Dynamics, you know that when you click on the phase, it will show you what fields are required in that phase, so you can really build in sales methodology right into your system. And you can use these process bars in any entity. Okay, and I'm going to show you a little bit more on how to configure that in a second. But each pipeline phase has fields that can be associated. Now, let's say, though, it's a large opportunity, and instead of jumping right from develop to propose, I'd like to have a phase that's an internal review. So the sales rep has qualified the opportunity. They've met with the client in the development phase. They found out about the project. They found out about, things like, what is the business driver behind the opportunity? Do they have a budget this year? Do they have a real need? For our products, is it a good fit? And if we've checked off yes, and we want to invest some resources and really win this thing, you might want to do an internal review of a $1 or $2 million opportunity to make sure that you're bringing your best, game forward. Now, to do that, what we used to have to do with 2013 is we'd have just a new process bar, and we'd go up, and we'd switch the process to a new process, or we'd automate it through code. With 2015, you can actually build your rules right into the process bar. So I'll click Edit Process. Okay, it just takes a second to come up. Now, here are all the fields that we had at Qualify and Develop and so forth. But let's say after Develop, I'd like to add a branch. Just click Add Branch. And I can say, if the account's a certain type, let's say strategic, and I want to do the internal review, then account strategic, then do it. I could say if the expected budgeted amount is greater than a certain dollar figure, then I'd like this to branch off. And once I click plus on whatever my query is, and then click Insert Stage here, I can define what the stage is. So there might be 4 or 5 things that I've got to do for this internal review. I can build that right into here. And now with any coding at all, that process bar will update if it's a big opportunity. Okay, so that's one of the new things that I really like in 2015 in the process bar that makes it a lot easier on implementations. You have to think, though, about what should the process be? What are the pieces and how are we going to measure it before just putting it together? But once that's done, it's really simple to get the tool to reflect your process needs. Okay, so I'll leave that page. All right, so that's Search in Advanced Find in the new process bar. One thing, I've got a couple minutes here, one thing that Angelina had wanted to show, and I'll show it, that I don't have on the agenda, is just editing the screen. So if I wanted to add something that reflected beyond the process bar an important field that I needed, I can just go into the form. Now this would be an admin that would do these things because you'd want to set it up so everybody shares in the same screens and the same processes. So if I wanted to, let's say, pull that budgeted amount we talked about onto the screen, just click it and I can drag it on. Okay, and really we can change the layout to be anything that somebody may want to see. So in a way, it's like a web page development environment that's rapid that you don't need a developer for. All right, and I can even add a new field in here. So just click New Field, give it a name, give it a type, and now you've got a new field in your CRM system. So I'll leave here. Okay, so now I can get into some fun stuff that she didn't have on her agenda. So one of the things that we often see is you've got, let's say, opportunities, or you've got other things in the system. And if sales reps aren't updating them every day. So if they don't, they only have, say 20 opportunities and they're updating them as they go along, the interface is really easy to make updates. You just open the record. Okay, so I'll open it up and maybe update the sales stage or update fields, save it, and then go to the next update when I have to make it. If I need to update a lot of them one after the other, you can actually go, there's little arrows in here, so I can go from opportunity to opportunity, and this is in all the records as well, so phone calls and other things, and I can just use these records and go from one to one and update them. Okay. Sometimes though, there's just too many to do that. It might be a rep that's updating large forecasts once a month. Or a big list of things. Somebody's doing event management and they need to update attendees. So what we can do for that is incorporate editable grids. Okay, so I'm going to show an example of it. So I'll just get back into the dashboard here, and I've got a dashboard element for forecast. Okay, and it takes a second to load because there's a lot of data in this particular forecast. So in the forecast, you've got account, maybe the different products that are being sold that need to be updated every month. In this particular example, I've got last year 30, 60, 90, and then this year 30, 60, 90. And with CRM, if I needed to update something big, let's say I'm a manager or a national account manager, and I needed to go in monthly and update it, it would probably take quite a while if I've got a couple hundred records. Instead of updating, opening it up, updating the field, closing it one by one, with the editable grids, what you can actually do is, let's say I wanted to update this one, this year 60, so that's 2 months out. Just take it, and I'll make this 3,500. Okay, and now I've updated it. You can have fields that are not editable, like the ones that are grayed out aren't editable, but the ones that are editable, you can just quickly click on it and edit it. When you've made the changes you want to make, save changes and it saves them. If you've got a few more updates before you want to save the changes, you just click on the ones you want to update and update them, and then you can save them all at once. Okay, so that's editable grids. I really like them if people have to make a lot of updates because it saves time. The other thing that you can do is, because they're more custom, you can do things like have totals at the bottom of the columns. And the other thing you can do is, if there's a lot of data, do things like group them. Okay, so now this is grouped by company, and if you want to, you can start in a minimized form, but have them all minimized. And then if you want to see an area, just click on it and it will open up. Okay, so that's editable grids. Last thing on my list was service. So I'm going to go into the service area. Now, Dynamics can be used for service technicians. So let's say a company has people that go out and they actually do repair work at customer sites. But it can also be used by people, let's say, in a sales support area or an R&D area where you need to book internal resources for projects and you don't want to overlap the bookings. So this is, I just opened up the sales service calendar in CRM. And what this will actually do is look at all the appointments that people have booked in the system and show you them all in one view. So I've got a whole bunch of users down here. This is all just dummy data. I created one a little earlier today to show you I've got something booked at 2 o'clock. If I wanted to book a new schedule, so I've got, I've got a sales support issue that needs a technician on it. Click schedule, and then what will happen is it will pop up the appointment, and in a second it will pop up the service appointment, and pick the customer. You don't have to, but it's kind of handy to have this tied to somebody. Okay, so I'll link it to this lab. Whoops. select it then, edit, and select the service. So in this case, it's sales support, okay? And then you can see this find available times here. What this will actually do is look at all of the team members that have been assigned to that type of task, and there's configuration built in to do that. And it will find the individual that's, in this case, least busy and available as soon as possible. Okay, because I've got start date as soon as possible and start time, range of times. So I'll find available times, and look at that, I'm available. So I only put 2 people in the group just for demonstration purposes here. So you click the person, and then now they're scheduled in for that time slot. And I've got a duration of 2.5 hours. If, let's see, I haven't tried this yet, but let's try it on Saturday.
You don't work Saturday, do you, Bill?
No. So find available times, and you can see it's got Billy Chen scheduled. So the way it does that, let's schedule him in.
We have a question, by the way, on scheduling when you're ready.
Oh, sure. I'll just finish this, and then I'll do Billy. There we go. So I'll save and close. So now that schedule is scheduled out for Saturday when Billy's available. So you can see in here that he's not available today. It's all whited out. And the times that are available are in gray. Okay, and that's how the service scheduling works. And in the background, you can define many teams and assign people to the teams. And if you can also assign the type of work to a team. So if you've got team A handles this type of issue or need, and someone's come up to schedule that type of event, it would pull from team A in that case, and you can set up rules like the least busy individual or the most skilled individual, the available individual, and then it will then go in and book them in here. Okay, and that's service scheduling. And Rob, what's the question on the scheduling?
Okay, this question that's related to this topic right now is from Scott, and this question is: would this schedule view pull up all of our personnel or just sales personnel?
Okay, it pulls up everybody that's in the system. So you can have you can schedule it. So in this case, it's all resources, but you can change it so that it's certain resources. You can also create custom views for people's schedules in the activity area and only see what you want to see. So if you only want to see people in sales support, that's who will be there. If you want to see technicians, that's who will be there. So it's a view like every other view in the system when you look at activities.
Okay, and there was another question a little bit further back. It was when you were going through configuring the screen and adding fields to the screen. Mm-hmm. And the simple question is how many new fields can be added to a screen?
Oh, it's largely unlimited. They're used to, with the 1.2 version, that's when I started, it was about 12 years ago, there was a limit, but now it's really, the limit's the practical. I've never seen anyone get to that limit, but you could literally fill up a huge web page that scrolls down. The other thing that you've got, and I'll just show you that, let's bring up companies here. So here's the company screen. You'll see how much I can put on here. Okay, so I've got contacts and work orders and opportunities and everything. When you scroll down, you can really go quite a ways down. Here's another example of one of those grids. But you can scroll down and scroll down and scroll down. In here, I've got some Scott's data fields. So really, practically, there isn't a limit. You get to the point where it's just too much information on the screen, and I think that probably if you put 1,000 fields on here, you might get to the end of it, but I've never seen anyone get close to that. What you can do to make the screens easier to navigate is number one, unlike previous versions, and this started with 2013 as well, you can stick quite comfortably 3 columns and often even 4 columns on the screen. If the screen size that you're using, let's say you're using a little tablet, it doesn't allow for that width. CRM actually senses the width of your screen, and so let's just see, make the screen smaller, and you'll see now I've only got 2 columns in width. There's no scroll bar on the bottom so that I have to scroll over to the right to see what I'm missing. There is a scroll bar up down. What it actually does is it takes whatever was on the right-hand side, okay, like work orders and contracts here, and it moves them down below. Okay, so here's the work orders and contracts, and that's pretty valuable if you're in, let's say you're in an office, you hook your computer up to a nice big monitor, you've got plenty of screen real estate, then you're on the road and you've got a tablet. To the system, it can sense it, it can reduce your screen size, and from your perspective, it doesn't really matter what you're using. You can still read everything. Okay, so I hope that helps. The other thing you can do, of course, is if you don't like the width, so if you want more room for contacts, it would take probably a minute to make it 2 columns width or even the whole width of the screen, and that's all done through configuration. You can also have different screen sets. So in this one, here we go. It's my demo environment. So I stuck a chart on quickly. Okay, so this particular screen set down at the bottom, I've stuck a chart that shows sales by month. Okay, so you can have different screen sets, different views on the screen based on who the person is in the organization. So somebody in operations might have one way of looking at customers, somebody in sales might have another. Somebody in a call center could have a third. Okay? All right, and Rob, I'll jump to that Outlook question unless there's something else on screens.
Yeah, the Outlook questions were all around syncing with Office 365 Outlook, calendar mainly. And then the second part was, do you have to configure the email router for that to happen? So maybe you can just comment on that as well.
Okay. So what you need to do with Outlook is there's a little add-in called Outlook Client. So you run that, and what that gives you is this area in the top that I showed on CRM, and it also gives you the CRM area in here so you can configure your personal options. So those are 2 of the most visible things. The other thing is you get a lot of functionality. So if I have an appointment, so let's say I've got an appointment, okay, I've got an appointment here. All I have to do is right-click and say track, and now it's tracked in CRM. Okay, if I've turned the synchronization off in this environment, so it won't actually do it. But if I had turned the synchronization rule on, then that would essentially be tracked in CRM, and when I go into the system, I'd see it. If at some point I delete it out of the system, or let's say an email, I delete that out of the system, which people will often do. So let's say I'm going to track this one. Okay, so I just tracked it. You can see the 2 little people here. If I delete this from the system, it will still be in Outlook. Okay, so you don't need the email router to do that. You just need this Outlook client. The email router is used for managing email that's going into the organization. So if you have Outlook or Exchange on-premise or 365, you can configure the Outlook client, or not, sorry, the Exchange router. And what that will do is you can set up rules around your email. So if a certain type of email comes in, like sales ad or support ad, you can have the router assign it to a person or a queue, so you're not doing that manually. If you send an email out from CRM, so you're in the system and you click send email and you type in the email and click go, that will then from CRM go out through Exchange through the email router. If you don't have an email router, so let's say some companies may have a non-Exchange email system, or you could have something like Hotmail, you can still use the Outlook client with it. And what you do in the personal settings is say I'd like the email to go out through my Outlook client. That Outlook client connects in with the Hotmail or whatever the other account is and then sends it out. The only drawback in that is that you actually have to have your Outlook open for it to happen, which isn't a problem if you're sitting there doing work because it is, typically open. But if you have something automated, let's say there's an event that somebody's registered for online, and you want to have a thank you for registering come out through CRM, through workflow, it will do that if your Outlook's open. Otherwise, it's going to wait for your Outlook to open when you come in the morning. But with the email router, it will send out immediately through your Outlook. Okay, so that's what email router is used for. All right, Rob, long explanation, but email router is pretty powerful.
Sounds good. Sounds good. The only other question that we haven't answered directly through the typing is, and I'm not sure you can show this because I don't think we're set up to do it, and if we're not, we can do something separately for this customer, but they wanted to know, what was the question? I lost it. So, there's a lot of questions in this window. Oh, okay, here it is. So via the mobile site, so when a person's using the mobile application of Dynamics on their smartphone, how would you record activities and view records, etc., on a mobile client? So the question is really centered around how does someone use the mobile client? What does it look like?
Okay. So I can show you the configuration within the environment. I don't have a simulator in this particular demo environment. Give me a second.
And it's funny, a lot of people are asking questions around the mobile functionality, and it's quite a powerful tool. So those of you who have Dynamics today, it comes with your license, your ability to access CRM via your mobile client. So I highly, highly encourage you to embrace that. It's a very productive tool.
Yeah, my password had expired. Okay. And by the way, you can set the expiry from anywhere between like a minute to 6 hours out of the box with Active Directory. And I've got to get them to change it in my environment. All right, so we'll go to settings, customizations. Now, if you're configuring CRM, like any one of the screens, you can do it right from the screen as I showed you. So you just, let's say I'm looking at an account screen, you just go up to the form, click Edit, and then you can edit the form right there and then, so it's really easy to navigate to. If you want to configure the mobile screen, you just need to do it through the customization area. Now, you can do anything from that as well. Let's see, so all the forms are here, all the views, all the charts, and so forth, okay? All right. So here's a lot of the forms. So I was on the general form for quite a while. Then I created one with the sales chart. That was that form. There's also a mobile client form. That's mobile here. And I'll make it larger. Okay. So in the mobile, and I've actually got this one hooked up to my phone, here's the fields that are now showing. So I've got the account name, primary account, main phone, email address. We can put in the mapping URL. So if you're on the road and you want to know how to get there, just click the map, and then we'll get there. And I'll show you. I've got it in here. Okay. There we go. Something I wanted to do anyway. So now I've got the map URL on my list. I've got the phone number, email, address. Okay. So I can add other things as well. So I could add, if I had an activity to follow up on, I could add a field in here for that. and it's all on the one screen, so I'm not navigating to anywhere else when I'm on my phone. I can put in what I need to do, and then in the back end we use workflow that will go and create that. Could be a phone call or a task or anything like that. It's, as soon as they enter it and save it in the phone. So it's a pretty valuable tool to have when you combine the mobile client with workflow. Okay, and Rob, I think there was another part to that question, but this is how you configure the mobile client anyways. And, the only thing you have to realize is with a phone, you've got a certain size of screen, so you don't want to have all of your information on it, just what you really want to access when you're in your car. For people that need to access in a mobile fashion, quite a lot and a lot of information, we usually recommend tablets. Okay, whether it's an iPad or a Surface or something like that.
I think what they were looking for, Bill, and again, I don't think you can show it because you're not on your phone, you're not showing your phone, but what would the user see when they're using the mobile client on their phone, whether it be a Apple iOS or a BlackBerry or whatever?
Okay, well, we can send out, Rob, screenshots of that. I don't have a simulator in this environment
That's what I figured.
to do that, but essentially what you see is you see all the entities you've got access to, and then have a rule turned on here for being actually able to see it on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's whatever fields you select are the ones that you can see on the phone.
Yeah. For those of you who have CRM now, you can actually download, if you're on an Apple phone, one of the questions came through about is it iOS. So I use an iPhone 6, and you can download the app that's in the App Store, the Microsoft Dynamics CRM app. It's free. And you would connect it to your CRM instance with your username and password. And you can go do that now if you're a CRM person, a licensed user, and go check it out yourself. For those of you who would like more information about the mobile client, let me know, and we'll be glad to provide you more information.
Yeah, they have clients for Android. There's clients for Windows Phone, okay, as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a web client that comes with this as well. So you don't need to install anything on your phone. You just have to put the URL on your phone. As long as you have ADFS, it's a security protocol. If you're online or with us, you've got it. But if you're on premise, you need to have that installed, and then you've got full access that way through your phone as well, just through a web browser.
Okay, so that's the time we had scheduled for today. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining. Again, if you have specific things you're really wanting to know about CRM, please email me or submit those things through to our company, and we'll be happy to schedule the next session and include some of the feedback that people have given us. Also, we'd like to get feedback from you about how these sessions are going. We want this to be a monthly resource for all of you, whether you're a current customer of ours or you're a potential customer looking at CRM. So you learn how powerful this tool can actually be. So please provide that information to us so we can continue to make these better. And for those of you who have enjoyed it, thank you for joining, and hopefully we'll see you again next month on the third Thursday at 1 o'clock. Sorry, third Thursday at 11 o'clock.
Angelina should be doing that one again.
Angelina will be back and healthy again.
Yeah, I'm voting for workflow for the next one to show you how easy that is to configure.
Yeah.
And powerful. But if anybody has a particular need, feel free to reach out to Rob or Angelina, and they'll try to incorporate it into the demo.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, if we do a good job of these things, people will learn so much they won't even need us to do their projects anymore. We have to rethink this strategy.
There you go. Well, typically after you go live, though, there's a lot that people can do themselves because it's so intuitive.
Absolutely. Okay, have a great afternoon, a great weekend, everybody, and thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you.